Good morning. I'm making this video to explain why I stand with Quinton de Kock in stepping down from the Proteas cricket team, that is the South African national cricket team. Cricket South Africa, CSA, has set a directive for all its Proteas players to take a knee before every game for Black Lives Matter. Quinton de Kock, one of the players, cited for personal reasons that he will be stepping away from the team. And it came out later that it's because of this stance that all the players are forced to take a knee for Black Lives Matter before every game. I support Quinton de Kock. I stand with him. And I'm making this video, I guess, to explain why. A lot of people don't know the history behind Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is an African-American movement that was founded by three black ladies. There's stories about either one of them or all three of them being lesbian or queer or from the LGBTQI plus community. And it kicked off in 2013 after a young black boy, Trayvon Martin, was murdered by a police officer named George Zimmerman. And George Zimmerman was acquitted, meaning that he was found not guilty initially of this crime. So protests and hashtags were kicked off by these women who are activists. It grew bigger when Michael Brown, another black male, was killed a year later. And as we all know, I think in 2020, George Floyd died after having a police officer named Derek Chauvin have a knee on his neck. And we saw the footage, and luckily the police officer's been arrested for that. Black Lives Matter fundamentally is an activist political movement that's specifically for police officers that are killing black people in America, but more generally for all racially motivated violence against black people. I'd like to think everyone, not just black people, is aware of the history of black people in the world. We know of the slave trade, where I think 18 million slaves were sent to America via ships. We're aware of apartheid as a big one in South Africa. And then we're aware of some of the crimes of colonialism on the African continent. Documented, no one is in dispute and in denial of this history, including white supremacists and white racists. So we're all aware of that. When you are forced to do something that is against your belief, it is a violation of your rights. Quinton de Kock, we don't know if he's a white racist. We don't know if he's a white supremacist. What we know is that when forced, when told, you need to now get on your knee, he said no. Made a video, I think, last year because a couple of the white Afrikaans rugby players in Europe had refused to take a knee for Black Lives Matter. And I made a video and I explained that I fully understand. The nature and the mindset of Afrikaners in South Africa are that of immigrants who came from Europe, interbred, Dutch, French, some German. They interbred and they created their own culture and their own group of people called Afrikaans people with their own language. They fought to build this country. They fought against the British in the Anglo-Boer War, and they managed to take over the government as the National Party to run South Africa. And then, unfortunately, they implemented apartheid, which was a segregation system. And in that segregation system, they then oppressed, beat and killed a lot of black people, which led to the uprisings and the struggle, and then the end of the struggle, which peaked with Nelson Mandela being released from prison. Today we have a democratic South Africa. Afrikaans people believe to this day that everything that they have has been earned through hard work, through fighting and winning, through unity. And they stand by that. They've got the Broederbond that they used. Farmers, through the churches, the NG Kerks, came and collected money and they built Afrikaans industry. very big companies that are still powerful today. Naspers, which is listed, I think, in Amsterdam, which is worth over R1 trillion. Absa, which came from Volkskas, Absa being the biggest bank in South Africa. Um, if you look at a company under Naspers, MultiChoice, DSTV, Sanlam, I like to think Anton Rupert, who built not Richmond, who built Rembrandt, which became British American Tobacco, and then his son Johan Rupert, who then added Richmond. There's a lot of big companies. I think Afrikaner is another one that have been built because of Afrikaans unity. They've gone on to then make sure that they patronize each other. Afrikaans fiction is the highest selling in this country. The Afrikaans magazine is the highest selling in this country, etc., etc. Afrikaans people have released documentaries on farm killings, calling it white genocide in South Africa. It's gone to America, and even Trump said he condemns the killing of farmers in South Africa. And there's a story that white farmers and white people are being killed in South Africa. I went and I read the stats 2 years ago. And at that time, I think in 2019, only 74 people in this country, out of about 23,000 people, only 74 had been murdered on farms. And of those 74, there's no demographic breakdown of whether they are black people or white people, whether they are white owners or black workers. So the idea that it's white genocide and farmer murders that are so rampant is extremely misleading. But it's something that a lot of white people bought into and that they believed. And at the time when they were calling out for white genocide, that white people are being attacked, that white people don't feel safe, black people didn't stand in solidarity with them. Black people weren't saying, we condemn farm killings. We stand in solidarity with all the families who have lost either farm workers or farm owners in this country. Black people instead almost seemed like they were kind of happy. We want the land back. If you know the very, very sensitive history that we have as a country. We want our land back. Yes, these farmers must be killed. Julius Malema was in court for singing a controversial struggle song called Kill the Boer, Kill the Farmer. He was in court for incitement of violence. So a lot of white people in this country feel underappreciated because they believe they brought civilization, colonization. They are responsible for a lot of jobs, whether it's through ShopRite or PEP or Spur or whatever other company. And they feel like they are not appreciated and they are demonized. Arguably, they're the highest taxpayers in this country as well. And today they're trying to create an independent Cape where they can be run by the DA, the Democratic Alliance, in the way that they deem fit, which will hopefully be successful. So I can only imagine, not just Quinton de Kock, but a lot of white Afrikaners, some of the rugby players, they're like, if you're not willing to stand with us for what we cry for and for what we feel, we can't stand for you for Black Lives Matter. Number one, Black Lives Matter is not a South African movement. It's an African American movement that has to do with American police that are killing black people in America. That's got nothing to do with us. Number two, when I did the research yesterday, I realized that there have been two soccer players in Europe, black ones. I forget the one guy's name, Zaha. I don't know if it's Wilfred or whatever his name is. Apparently there's another one, Marcos Alonso, who have refused to take a knee for Black Lives Matter. The reason Zaha said he's no longer taking a knee is because he felt like it was just routine and it had no substance. He felt there was still a lot of racism in Europe, that they were still being treated and called monkeys. I know Rio Ferdinand has spoken out about that. Thierry Henry has spoken out about that. And he was saying this gimmick of just taking a knee, doesn't really feel like anything anymore. And he stands up and he's like, until you guys do something fundamental, nothing will change. I've seen a lot of people speak about Cricket South Africa and how racist they are. And there's this white boys club that runs things and the black players are treated badly. We're very happy today that we've got a black captain, Uthemba Bavuma. We've got guys like Kagiso Rabada. Some of the utterings that we've heard before is that the Proteas and the Springboks only pick good blacks. Coconut black guys who toe the line, who love white Jesus and white God, and who behave according to white standards. But even they apparently don't get paid equal wages. Even they get treated badly by the same system. And some people have asked, outside of this gimmick of getting the Proteas players to kneel on one knee for Black Lives Matter, what else is Cricket South Africa doing to fix equality and to fix racial bias in Cricket South Africa? What is being done under rugby to fix racism and equality in rugby? Are the players being paid the same? Is there fairness, etc., etc.? We're currently in a situation where people are pushing for mandatory vaccination. They want to put something in your body against your wishes because they feel it's what's best for science. They want to force us to vaccinate, and a lot of us are against mandatory forced vaccinations. Today, we want to force people, especially white people, to stand up or to kneel rather for Black Lives Matter, even if they feel like they don't really care. The three founders are arguably lesbians. I wonder how many of the people that are angry with Quinton de Kock, that are trying to cancel him, would take a knee for the LGBTQI plus community, knowing how much homophobia there is, especially in a country like South Africa, and especially considering how many African countries have still criminalized homosexuality. Xenophobia is rife and rampant in South Africa, where Black South Africans have beaten up and killed Somalians in this country, Nigerians, Zimbabweans. Would you take a knee for African foreigners that are in South Africa? And if you were forced, as a Bafana, as a Springbok, as an anyone, to take a knee for African foreigners in this country that have been killed by local Black South Africans, would you take a knee? Or would you say, I don't want to be forced to take a knee for something I do not believe in? The violence in America against Black people in particular is very, very bad. Apparently, every year, about 1,000 people are killed by police officers in America. Black people, white people, Hispanic people. However, Black people in particular have about a 2 to 3 times higher chance of being killed by the police. Last year during the lockdown in South Africa, I noted about 9 cases of people that were killed by Black South African police in South Africa for violating lockdown regulations. We haven't had hashtags. We haven't had protests and marches. We haven't knelt for them. I know it's not being tracked, but I know soldiers and the police have killed many Black people in this country unlawfully. But we're not standing up for them. We're not taking a knee for them. But now, because there's a very cool hashtag in America that everyone is raving about, now we want to ride those waves and seem like we're part of the trend. We're woke. Yeah. Bring back our girls. No one's even tracking what's happened at Boko Haram with the girls in Nigeria because we actually don't really care. We're a social media generation and we want to ride what's trending. And if you're not pro-LGBTQI, if you're not supporting foreigners, if you're not supporting white genocide on farms, if you're not supporting the latest cool gimmick, you're cancelled. I stand with Quinton de Kock because I'm not about being forced to take a knee for something you don't believe in. Whether you're a racist or you're not, even if it was Kagiso Rabada, Themba Bavuma, or anyone else was saying, I appreciate what Black Lives Matter stands for. I'm very much against racism. I'm very much against police brutality against Black people and anyone else, whether it's in America or in South Africa, and whether the police are white people or Black people or anyone else. But I do not believe in being forced to take a knee. I believe that anyone who would like to take a knee should do so and be respected. But people that do not want to, for whatever personal reason they have, should be allowed that freedom as well. Penuel the Black Pen. Let's use our brains. Let's think better. Let's be conscious and let's stop bashing and cancelling people just because it sounds cool for social media. I stand with Quinton de Kock. And if you do not want to take a knee for Black Lives Matter, it is your prerogative and it's your right. Cheers.